Hello and welcome back to Kind Atmosphere. Now, I have a lot to talk about, but first I would like to clear up everything that I'm also a bit unsure about, but also I know that other people might be a bit confused as well. So, in my last episode, I said that I would take time off and think about topics to talk about, and I have. And I have also decided that season 1 of this podcast will be categorised around health and around healthy mindsets and positivity, that sort of thing. And season 2 will be something completely different. And I think I'm heading in the direction of conspiracy theories and psychology, that sort of thing. Now, obviously, I know that isn't for everybody. My passion for conspiracy theories isn't for everybody. So, I am going to pick a specific day where I will do an episode based on what you as an audience would like. So, I will have like this voting type thing going on where I will tell you my categories and I'll have like a voting system up and running where you can vote for what you'd like. You can vote for as many categories as you want. Don't feel that you have to just vote for one. Because you don't. You can vote for as many as you want. So there's that. Now, with this episode today, I will be talking about developing a healthy mind. That was actually picked and voted for by around about 4 people, but it is also something that I wanted to do anyway, as I feel like it's important that we know how to develop a healthy mind, but also what needs to be in place as well. But again, I would just like to put a disclaimer that whatever I say in this episode isn't supposed to harm or be correct in any way, shape or form. These are just my opinions and my thoughts. Another thing is, maybe possibly a disclaimer, but the reason why season 2 will be different is because I've found that everything is the same and I'd like a bit of a change in the atmosphere. So season 1 will have 10 episodes full of life and tips and things, and season 2 will be again 10 episodes, conspiracy theory based, long, maybe in-depth talks. And I was thinking of getting people to talk about conspiracy theories with me, hence why I'm looking forward to it. However, there might be times when that might not be possible and I'll have to go forward on my own and talk about conspiracies. But nevertheless, I've wanted to talk about conspiracies, but I wanted a clear division between life and conspiracies, hence why I think it'd be good to create a new season and like a new series of episodes filled with that, but still have an episode in between where I will throw in something that you guys want to listen to that isn't conspiracy based. So with that being said, this is episode 9, so unfortunately whenever I do my next episode it will be my last one on series 1, which is scary but also exciting because it's a new path. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and again, everything that I say is not correct, It's just my way of thinking, my way of doing things. This won't suit everybody. It might not suit anybody at all. So, nevertheless, I'm not trying to force anything upon you. So, with that being said, let's get on with episode 9, which is developing a healthy mind. So, I have actually wrote it down in front of me, what I wanted to go through, and take it step by step. I know I've had a lot of people telling me to take breaks and slow down a bit so it's more longer, and I understand that, but sometimes slowing down makes it harder for me to actually know what I've said and what I haven't. So I love rambling on, but if I ramble on for too long, I lose sight of what I'm actually talking about. And I'd rather get my point across kind of short and snappy rather than losing track of what I'm actually saying. But nevertheless, I'm trying to take what people are saying on board as it is feedback, nevertheless. So I hope to make these longer if I can, is what I'm trying to say. As I said, developing a healthy mind. So the first almost branch that comes with developing a healthy mind is that it's rewarding. The way it's rewarding is almost as if you're at school and you turn up 100% attendance. You'll get a reward, you might get a certificate or something. I know that's what I had when I was at school. So the fact that something is in place to make you happy or have a sense of happiness or excitement or adrenaline. Developing a healthy mind means to me as well that you have put something in place that works for you. It could be a pattern, it could be a sequence, it could be a routine that you have done or are going to do that is going to change the way you do things in a positive way. Now, I'm not saying that you have to always do the things that you put in place, because some things just don't flow, and it's recognizing the things that don't flow and removing them from that routine and doing it differently. And it's also as well, if you want to add ideas, there's nothing that says no, you can't do that. Don't try and overpack those ideas though, because I feel like if you overwork yourself, you won't get the same effects. You won't feel the same adrenaline. You'll feel worn out before it's even started. So the reward system, if you work too hard, is kind of lost because you're not recognizing what you're doing as a good thing. You're just working yourself up to I don't know what, but you are like working yourself up too fast, and the reward then will be lost because you've gone too fast, too quickly. The next branch, along with rewarding yourself, is patience. Not everything that we do is going to work, and it's recognizing the things that don't work, but also being patient in finding what does. People, I think, get too attached to the fact that if one thing works but they don't necessarily like it, that the next option might be too big of a leap to take. but they might enjoy it. So they kind of sit in this place where they're not really happy with how they've got to do things, but they're not ready to take that leap. And I think that leap is a way of trying to tell you that you've got to try everything, because if you don't, you're kind of just going to sit in kind of just a puddle, and you're just sat there and you're not doing anything to get out of it. And it's raining, and patience is realising that not only is time important, that what you do has an effect on everything, but it's realising that patience is more than just time. It's realising that it's about pacing yourself to do things within your own time, but also is trying to teach you how to be open-minded to the possibilities. I think patience has so many other meanings than just time, is what I'm trying to say. And it's realising that and interpreting it in a physical form where you can actually say, you know what, it's more than just time why I'm being patient. It's like if you're being patient with somebody because you want to see that person open up around you. The reason why you're being patient isn't because of the time that you have, but you're also being patient because you actually want to see where it's heading. So that's a physical form of a different meaning for patience. The next branch, so when I say branch, I'm imagining a tree. So we have like rewarding, patience, and the next one is creating different methods and not changing the goal. I read this quote, and I can't remember it from the top of my head, but it says about if something doesn't work, it's realising that it doesn't work and changing the method. You don't change the goal. If your goal is to, I don't know, everyone likes fitness at the moment. And, if your goal is to lose some weight and you're like, your motivation is low and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, but you go and exercise anyway. And that method that you do, it might be, 5 star jumps, and you might think these star jumps aren't even doing anything for me. You might go, oh, I give up. And it's realising that that method that you've tried hasn't worked. It isn't saying give up. It's saying, okay, that didn't work. Let's go and try something else, I think a lot of people, if something doesn't work, they try changing the goal. They think, if I change my goal, it'll work. And in some cases it does. That is the case, that if they change the goal, it will work. But the reason why you're changing your goal is because you think your goal is too hard to get. You think it's out of reach. When really, it's the method that you've got in place that is out of reach. That's why it's not working. And it's taking the method, breaking it down, making it simpler and capable for yourself, and then going forward with the goal, because the goal could be right in front of you, and you might have been making it really complicated with the method that you've done in place for yourself. And it's realising that not everything is goal orientated. You know, the reason why you get up in the morning isn't because you've got a reminder set on your phone to get up. It's actually because the methods you've got in place are helpful, if that makes sense at all. What I'm trying to say is, people are blindsided to think that the reason that they're not achieving something is because the goal is too hard. And that's where rewards and patience come together, because you change the method to your goal and you're rewarding yourself because you'll be able to get that goal then. But it's teaching yourself that you've got to be patient and recognise that you need to put that different method into place, if you get what I mean. The next branch to our tree is surrounding yourself with people who care about you. A lot of people at times surround themselves with the wrong people, with the wrong crowd. And it's realising that people don't lift you up in the ways you want them to. No, I'm not saying that somebody has to say something bad in order for you to go, that's it, I'm out. I'm saying that if they don't motivate you or lift you up in the ways that you can or you want to, it's like a process. If you're stuck in one place and those people aren't kind of budging you to go and seek some answers, they're kind of just like, oh, whatever, don't care. It's best to remove yourself from that situation and surround yourself with people who do care about you and about your mindset. Because don't forget, this is developing a healthy mind, and it's recognising that people are bringing you down. And I feel like if you're a bit like, well, how can I tell if they're bringing me down? Try and view it from a different person's perspective, or make this scenario up in your head and view it from somebody else's point of view. So say, for example, you're in that situation yourself where somebody has brung your mindset down. Draw it on a piece of paper and pretend you're a different friend looking in on that situation, watching yourself and this person have the conversation, because most people can't recognise something when it's happening, or when when they're viewing it straight on. Like, if I was to see something straight on, I won't be able to recognise it from my perspective. I'd have to see it from somebody else, like acting it out in front of me. Almost like in drama, when you have to act out a certain play. It's like that. And it's sometimes hard to kind of tell yourself, this person's bringing me down. And sometimes you don't want to say that. But it's teaching yourself that you have to, because those people aren't healthy to be around. They're not adding to your level of satisfaction, because they're bringing you down. So why would you want to keep somebody who's bringing you down in your life? You know? And yes, that person might have only done it for a short period of time. And by all means, I'm not saying, get rid of them completely. I'm saying for that period of time where they have upset you or brung you down, it's best to remove yourself until you have got better. And when you can kind of realise that that person has brung you down, and most of the time people just go away after time. They do this thing where you just remove yourself from the situation and they won't talk, they won't realise that you've gone. And I think that in itself is kind of teaching you something, because it's like, why did I even stick around anyway? So there's that. Now I have got some key steps, and these are my key steps of developing a healthy mind. So you might have thought they were the steps, but they were little branches of a tree of what you can get if you had a healthy mind. These are the key steps of achieving a healthy mind. So, my key step number 1 is notice your good and bad days. Make a note on what could be changed. Most of the time, people will just recognise the bad days and not even account the good, because they just think, well, it was a good day, what could have been changed? And I think that's where it's wrong, because that's where it's going wrong, because you need to notice your good days. Because just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean nothing good has happened. It might just be you aren't feeling how you feel when you have a good day. And I think you just need to focus on your good days and kind of pick out what makes it a good day. Because really, your bad days could be a good day too. It's just, it could be a physical feeling. Like if you're laid in bed all day, you might class that as a bad day because you're laid in bed. When really, you might have listened to music, you might have been really productive, and that might be a good day for you. Being productive might be classed as a good day, but you're classing your bad day as a day just laying in bed while still being productive. In other words, the way I look at it is a yin and yang. There's the good in the bad and the bad in the good. And this is a perfect example of interpreting, noticing your good and bad days, because there will be something bad in a good day and there'll be something good in a bad day, and it's picking them out and seeing how you can change it. And just like before with our tree and our branches, it's picking a different method of trying to get a good day instead of a bad day, and knowing what flows in and what doesn't. Because if you're just putting in so much of your effort to try and have a good day, it's going to get lost. It's like you're putting too much effort into something. You need to be patient in the fact that it's going to take time to find and notice the good in the bad days and the bad in the good days, and how you can make most of your days when you feel like you're having a crap day. The second step is be open-minded to the possibilities. So, just like in a bad day, people will shut off their thoughts, and in most cases that means that they won't know, or they won't even take notice of the possibilities that they could face if they did just open up their mind. The reason why I think this is a healthy mind trick of being open-minded is to tell yourself that, like, to become healthy is showing yourself the possibilities if you go and do something, and it might not be what you expected it to be. So if you have something in mind that you want to do, the open-mindedness might make you want to do it more. And you might think, okay, I'll go and do it now, because your mind has taught you that something good could come out of it. And really, you're doing what you're conscious, and you're doing what you want to be doing, and what your goals, if you like. But at the same time, it might not be what you expected. So if you're having a bad day, you're laid in bed and you're thinking, oh, this is really crap, and you have a goal in your head, it's being open-minded that if you go and do it, you might feel happy about yourself, but at the same time it might be something that you're not expecting. Like, you can create a scenario in your head and kind of know the answer or pinpoint an answer to it. That doesn't necessarily mean that is the answer. It can be something that is so unexpected that you could hate it, you could enjoy it, and it's finding out that, because then you'll know that you've done it and you've given it a go, is the overall kind of thing to developing a healthy mind. Giving everything a try, because you are taking something that you don't know the answer to, and the more answers you don't have, the more answers you don't know. So you just need to tell yourself, am I going to be happy if I don't know the answer? Yes, you are, then you can't really do much about it. But if you say, no, I'm not going to be happy because I don't know the answer, you just need to jump and take that leap of faith and go and find out what that answer is. And yes, it could close a door, but I'd rather close that door and not go back to it and then go in a new direction. Because those people as well, I think, get stuck in picking directions on what path to take, and think, oh my god, so many doors. If those doors were closed, think how easier it would be to just be happy and be content with yourself. As well, you've got to be open-minded to the possibility that so many things could come to you if those doors were open, though. So in a way, I'm kind of contradicting what I'm saying, because sometimes you do need them doors open. So, because there could be a door behind the door you're closing without you even realising. But it's finding it out and being open-minded to that. And obviously this podcast is, what I'm trying to base it around is for teenagers, and teenagers' minds are still in that process of growing. Mine is still in the process of growing, and it's a wonderful thing, yet a really scary thing to be thinking about, because if your mind is overcrammed with ideas, the effort to go and do the ideas that you have is too much, because you think, oh my god, how can I possibly get round to doing all that is in my mind? And if you close off those doors that you don't want to do yet, and the ideas and everything, then it's going to make it more manageable to breathe. And I think for a teenager with lots going on in your mind, it's best to do everything to kind of be able to breathe. The next step is being honest with yourself and your emotions. Again, a lot, if not most people, lose sight of being honest with themselves because they are pressured or forced to do things a different way to how they want to do it. And it's teaching yourself boundaries and telling people, if that is who is controlling you or forcing you to do something or go in a different direction to where you want to be, it's telling them, no, I respect that you want to do that, but you can't, because you're not me. I want to do this for myself, and that is being healthy, because if they forced you down a path you don't want to go down, it's almost as if they are sending you down the path of anger, upset, demotivation. Because once you're doing something that you don't like, you're going to feel really crappy about yourself, because you're like, I didn't even want to end up here. Yeah, I am, because that person put me here. And sometimes people are open and confident with telling that person, like straight away, I can see what you're doing, stop it. But when you're in that position head on, it's really hard to notice it. Other people around you might notice, but they might not say anything. And it's realising that you need to be honest where you're standing, and if your emotions are flowing in the same direction you are, because sometimes I see it as like a train track. If your honesty with yourself isn't the same as your honesty and with your emotions, they're going to clash. They're going to crash together. These trains, metaphorically, they're going to crash and they won't get on. But if you are honest with yourself and honest with your emotions, they're just going to glide on by and flow, because you're teaching yourself how to let things flow in the way you want them to. Because I feel like if the reason why they're crashing together, these trains, is because something hasn't been done the way you want it to be done. So it's going to go bad. It's not going to go the way you want it to be. So if you're honest with yourself and your emotions, it's going to lift you up. It's going to open doors. It's going to, I feel like honesty with yourself and your emotions is the make it or break it situation, because it can either break you in the way that you become demotivized. Is demotivized the word? No motivation, basically. If you're not honest with yourself and your emotions, you're not going to have the motivation. You're not going to do the things that you usually would on a daily basis. And it's saying, you know what, I'm not happy with that. Recognising it. You don't have to do things straight away. You don't have to put things in place straight away. But you need to recognise it sooner rather than later, because the more you let it sink and let it just be planted like a seed in your head, and you're the one holding the water. Your seed is your thought. You plant that seed. The more light you shed onto that seed and the more you water it, the more it grows in your head. So the more you do that, the more it's going to start taking over your life potentially. And I know for myself, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to be sat with my thoughts and my emotions because I wasn't honest with myself. The next key step, which will be the 4th step out of 5, is just like before with our tree and our branches, is being patient. So as I've said, it's teaching yourself that all this can't happen at once. My 5th key step is making a routine or a pattern or a sequence. I think the problem with what people find with a routine or doing something that works for them is they think that they can't add ideas or take ideas out because there won't be a routine. A routine isn't a long list. It might just be get out of bed. And I think a teenager with lots of thoughts and everything going on in their mind, this is one of the steps that they hate because it's too much. They think, oh my God, I need a long list of things to do to keep me, sane. And I think it's not about that. It's about recognising and doing one thing at a time. That one thing might just be sit up. Because I feel like if you're laying down, you're not really engaging yourself with anything. I feel like if you sit up and you've got a window in your room, you look out of it, you're kind of embracing what is going on around you. Laying down, all you can see is your ceiling. So you don't really have much to go on. And then after time, it's slowly going to teach your mind to look around. Straight away, you might not look around. You might just sit up and, I don't know, for me, I just sit up and look in front of my wardrobe. But it's realising that to develop a healthy mind, you need to look around every once in a while. I am quoting Ferris Bueller because it's true. What Ferris Bueller says is if you don't stop and take a look around once in a while, you could miss it. And it's true, if you don't, do the simplest task, which might just be sitting up, looking around, you might miss something that could be an endless opportunity. So, if you write stories a lot, if you don't sit up one day and look around, you might not get an idea to write a story. So, a story potentially could be lost. And who knows? That story might be the best one yet. Doesn't mean, though, that there isn't going to be that chance or opportunity again, because it is. Maybe not in the same way, but it could be very similar. Now, with all this in mind, the best way of doing all this, I have found, is if you have a phone, going on your notes and writing a essay of what you've done or what you found out in that week or month, because I can't do it over days, because for me it's too much. Well, it's not too much, but I feel like it'd be the same thing I'd be writing down, and I feel like you can't really do it over 2 days. I think if you're gonna write an essay on what happened, it's got to be over a period of time. So, a week or a month, because a lot happens in a month. And I've been doing it, and I've been keeping a log of what happens and my thoughts, and writing what's been going on outside, the environment, the world, my thoughts about topics. And sometimes it's just writing down whatever comes to your head or at that moment, because that in itself is developing a healthy mind. It's allowing yourself to get rid or to embrace the thoughts that you have, because sometimes they're just a collective of scribbles that need to be put out and said and typed. And sometimes if things aren't said or put out of your head, they're just gonna sink. And again, back to the teenage mind, if you're already going through a lot of what you're going through already are just tiny thoughts that need to be put out of your misery. And sometimes it's teaching yourself what is actually worthwhile, because some of your thoughts might be absolutely ridiculous, that they don't need to be there whatsoever, and potentially that might be the thing that's weighing you down, these ridiculous thoughts that don't even need to be there. And it's recognising and writing these thoughts down, reading it back and thinking, did this weigh me down? And if the answer is yes, you screw it up into a ball, if you throw it down on paper, and you bin it or you burn it, because you need to teach yourself that what you have written, if it has weighed you down, can't weigh you down any longer, and you need to scrap that from entering again, because once you realise that it's weighed you down before, if it's going to come back or it seeps back into your life, you can kind of recognise it and go, I've been in this situation before. And then you're aware that you have been down in the dumps when this has happened before. So, yeah, I think keeping a diary might be a bit hard to do because you're going to be writing every day, but sometimes that diary doesn't have to be written in every day. So you just have to take what you can and make it your own. You know, I've got a diary. I can't write every day because it's going to become the same. And sometimes I can't even remember to do things or write every day. So that in itself is too much. And that is something that I've recognised with myself, is that I have to write over a course of a month, or a topic that I've found. And it's just finding what works well for you. Nobody can tell you what is right for you. However, you can tell them that you don't want them to decide for you just because you don't know. You know, it's like teachers at school. You know, if you didn't know the answer, they would move on to somebody else. And I think, or they would tell you the answer, and I just think, I was going to get there sooner or later, but it's almost as if you are trying to be brutally honest with yourself. You know, everything to develop a healthy mind is trying to do it as positive as possible, because if you do things that is negative, it's going to have a negative impact. So, you know, if you're trying to be positive about being honest with your emotions, and negativity comes through into it, it's going to take over, because you'll recognise that there's negativity here and you'll be like, oh my god. So it's realising that negativity can't make its way into the positivity side, because negativity can be such a draining thing to deal with, because with everyone, they'll have thoughts. Some people have more thoughts than others, some others will have less. And if negativity seeps through any of these thoughts, never mind if they are negative, if they're positive, the positive thoughts are going to get wiped. And everything is just going to become, if negative was a colour and the colour was black, it would be black. Your whole entire mind would be black. And it's actually teaching yourself that negativity isn't going to take over your life. You're not going to let it. And it's teaching yourself, you know what? Your brain is big, so it can handle this tiny bit of negativity, because it's in perspective to your brain. This negativity is literally just a little fraction of your brain. And I think it's teaching yourself a way of viewing your mind and creating a meaning, because if you have a meaning behind something, it's better to say that something isn't gonna, like how I've just done with my mind, it's trying to teach yourself, you know what, I'm not going to let negativity get in. So what you do is you kind of trick yourself into thinking that your brain is big. Might not look big, but for the fact that what it goes through, I would say it is pretty big. You know, it sends thoughts everywhere. You know, if your brain is not in a good place, you're going to get no motivation. You're going to start not caring about yourself. You're going to think that you're in a small and dark place on your own, when really you need to teach yourself that you're not, and that if you are, it's only for a short period of time. And, you know, developing a healthy mind doesn't mean it's always got to be healthy. Like healthy eating. You know, people think, oh, you've got to exercise every day, you've got to eat certain foods. You can still have chocolate every once in a while because you enjoy it. You know, if you don't enjoy exercising, it's going to be hard to try and teach yourself, I'm going to enjoy it one day. I think you might, and you've got to be patient with yourself. But if you know for a fact you hate the thought and the energy that goes into it, don't put yourself through that, because you're not going to get any rewards out of it. You're using all your energy up, and you're not being honest with yourself. You're not being honest to the fact that you do not like exercise one single bit. So, this has been a very long episode, and I did actually want it to be longer because of it being nearly the last episode, but also because it's passionate for me. But with that being said, this has been really fun, and like I said, season 1 is nearly over, and there'll be an opportunity to vote on categories that you and topics that you want me to talk about for this specific day that I choose, which will also be down to you as an audience, because I could pick whatever day I want, but I'm going to leave it up to you to vote along with the topics that I do for that specific day. But there will be more conspiracy theories, that sort of thing, in season 2. There'll be 10 episodes of that. But the day that you pick your episode, I will take one conspiracy theory out. So there actually will be, almost as if there'll be 10 conspiracy theories in total, plus the extra episodes for the days that you pick that category, if I'm making sense. But with that being said, again, disclaimer that in no means what I have said is correct. It's just my opinion, my views, my brain deciding what goes into this. And I hope that in a way it has helped. But yeah, the next episode that comes out, will be the last episode, and I can actually tell you what I'm going to be talking about. I will be talking about self-help in that episode. So, in a way, you can kind of prepare yourself. I don't know when it's going to be coming. Again, you can go onto YouTube. But please note that not all my episodes of my podcast will be going up on YouTube. Although, I can tell you what is going up onto YouTube. And that is my kindness. So what's already on YouTube right now is kindness, honesty and society. And today's episode of Developing a Healthy Mind will be going up on YouTube, and self-help. I am picking the ones that I feel are the most beneficial. In no means does that mean that my other episodes aren't beneficial. I'm putting the ones that I think should be seen and should be heard, because they're important, just like the rest of my episodes. But with that being said, I hope you're all staying safe and doing well. Being honest with yourself and your emotions. Being patient with yourself, because not everything can happen in a short amount of time. And if something isn't going well, write it down, screw it up, put it in the bin, burn it, whatever. Try not to set anything on fire, and tell yourself that you aren't going to let it affect you. And if you have any friends that, or anybody that you know could benefit or anything, because I would like to have like a conversation with the audience that listen to these episodes and debate things, or have a conversation about it. Share this and tell people to listen to it, because it brings positivity that I know that it's reaching people. Obviously, if it isn't doing anything, don't feel that you have to share it. But if it does, and you think, you know what, people should listen, then please do share. But don't feel that you have to. It is in your hands. Just like everything is in your hands, it's in the palm of your hands. So thank you for listening. Be sure to check out my social media, which will be linked in this episode. But if you head on to YouTube, search Kind Atmosphere, look for the logo, I will put my social media in there. So with that being said, thank you for listening, and hopefully my next episode will be really soon.